Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 22nd River Falls City Council meeting. First thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Christie, can I have a roll call, please?
Bierstead.
Here.
Bjork.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Downing.
Here.
Morset.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
O'D.
Here.
Okay, next we have approval of the minutes from the November 9th regular meeting and the October 18th workshop meeting.
I move approval. Second.
First and second, questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next we have the approval of the bills with Mr. Carroll.
Mayor and Council, I move for the approval of bills in the amount of $1,230,697.90, subject to the comptroller.
Second.
First and second, questions or comments on bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next move into public comments. If there's anybody in the audience that has anything to say, please come on up and state your name and your address and sign in for us.
Benjamin Fox, 2529 Powell Avenue. I want to thank the mayor and council today for having our neighbor's place here. It's blowing up again on social media. It's very common right now with homeless population and the situations in town. Today, there's a picture taken at 501 North Main, and that situation blowing up again. There's comments and all kinds of accusations. I came here in 2015 after traveling for quite a while. And so it's interesting to find, like, I always follow these things. And I'm like, I think it's important to keep people moving. So when I come to things like the bike and pedestrian plan, to all the media you guys see me at, I think that's important as a city that you have that ability to keep moving. Because a lot of homelessness is like when you get stuck. You get stuck in a situation of abuse, stuck in a situation of financial difficulty, stuck in just a place that you're just not mentally good. And so it helps when you always keep moving. I mean, you don't get stuck there, don't linger. And so when people say, well, you should be able to have rights of like public space and all, it's like, part of it is that you need to move, you need to interact, you need to be a part of the community so else you can then move forward. Because otherwise you're just moving backwards or you're just stuck. Eventually you just, wither and die. So I want to thank the council, the mayors for having our neighbor's place here, because they're definitely a lot better experts at homelessness in River Falls than I am. And with that, I thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Anybody else in the audience? No? Okay, so we'll move on, and this is where Shelley from our neighbor's place is going to come on up and give us a little presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Tolan, for having me. My name is Shelley Smith, and I'm the director at Our Neighbor's Place. This is our mission statement, connecting our neighbors with support, shelter, and housing services to foster self-determination. So what does that mean? Basically, Our Neighbor's Place started in 2009. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We serve all of Pierce St. Croix County, but if anyone comes in from outside those counties, we will serve to the best of our abilities. Most of our local resources are right here within Pierce St. Croix that we do referrals to, so that tends to be most of who we help. There are no costs for our services. Everything is at no charge. You can see our website and our social media if anyone cares to follow or like our posts. We have 4 programs, and I'll just give you a real quick overview. The first one is our day center. That's the picture that you see up there. That's where our day center lives and also our clothing closet. So our day center provides a lot of direct resources. Most of those direct resources focus on folks who might not have stable housing. So as you read down the list, things like laundry, shower, restroom, public lockers, a mailing address. A lot of these things are really important for folks who are either in between places, sleeping in their vehicle, outside, couch hopping, whatever. We also offer a kitchen space for people, computer, phone, fax, a lot of those things that we have in our own homes, right? We offer gas cards, we offer taxi vouchers, we offer food resources, a lot of, like I said, just direct resources for folks who need some extra help. What's not on this slide, but is probably really important, well, I know it's important, is we offer a safe, welcoming, non-judgmental space for people to come in and get these things. And that makes a big difference. I've seen it time and time again from folks coming in. They really appreciate that and they need that, because when you're struggling with something, you don't need to be told what to do. You don't need any judgment. You don't need anything. You just need options and resources, and that's what we provide. The next slide just talks about, that's our staff. Sue is our operations and events coordinator. We just hired her. And then Sarah, in our neighbors t-shirt, she's our case manager. And so she's the person who sits down side by side with folks to help them work through some of the tough stuff. Some of the higher level things like housing, navigating, filling out Section 8 applications, housing voucher programs, things like that. Also of note is Ollie, ONP Ollie, who is there every day with Sarah, and again, just kind of works to provide that welcoming atmosphere for folks who are stressed out and just need some extra comfort. So we do on-site referrals to folks who maybe they need some help that's outside our organization, but we do direct referrals to the places that might be able to help them. So instead of just handing people a list of numbers and saying good luck, we really sit down and try to figure out what they need, where they live, what their resources are, to be able to match them best with the organization that will be able to give them the most help. There's nothing worse than giving people a list of numbers. They go out, they call the number, they tell their story, and then they're told, no, we can't help you. And then they call the next number, and they do that time and time again. It's traumatizing. So we want to reduce the barriers for people getting the help that they need. Sarah also does a lot of housing counseling. So when folks are maybe getting evicted, maybe they can't afford where they're staying, maybe they need to find other housing, she will work side by side with them to be able to connect them to the other housing resources. We keep a local landlord list. We keep a list of subsidized housing options, just a lot of different resources to, again, help people over those barriers to reduce the amount of time that it takes for them to find new housing. As you all know, the housing market here is tough at best. Our day center is open Monday through Friday from 10 to 4. We're back to just a drop-in service, so folks are able to come in as they need. They don't need an appointment unless they want to meet with Sarah and talk about some of those higher level things. So we are there and available for people when they need us. Our next program is our clothing closet that also lives at the Johnson Street building. It's our thrift store. So we rely on donations from the community. We have adult clothes, shoes, outerwear, personal care products, things like that. We are open to the public, so if there's any thrift store shoppers out there, come and see us. All proceeds go back to support our programming. But primarily what we do is we provide a service. So we offer vouchers to our guests. So that means folks can shop for no charge and get all the things that they need. Here's a slide with some of our numbers. So if you look back, 2015 was kind of the first year that we started really tracking our numbers. We track points of contact, and so that means either phone calls or in-person visits to our building. You can see in 2015 we had just over 1,000 points of contact, and then if you fast forward to last year, we had over 4,000 points of contact. I think a lot of that has to do not with our gigantic advertising budget, because we don't have one, but I think it has more to do with the fact that when people go somewhere and they need something and they get help, they get the help that they need, they go and tell others. I think it also speaks to the fact that we have a lot of good collaborations and partnerships with local organizations, the schools, the hospital, the jails. I mean, places are calling us all the time, referring people. And so I think the word has gotten out pretty effectively that way. So for a small staff, we're busy. We also have a backpack program. So we run that for the school district of River Falls. Basically what that is a bag of food that goes home every week to any student in the school district who needs help, any family who needs help over the weekend feeding their kids when they're not getting the free and reduced lunches at schools. The bags contain anywhere from 7 to 9 pounds of non-perishable food, and they also include a voucher for the perishable items that kids need to be healthy. That program, like I said, it's open to anyone. There's no income requirements. There's no qualifying. The only real requirement is that they're within the school district. Families can pick up their bags at our day center, or they can have their bags sent home with their students. Shout out to Rotary for supporting our backpack program. I was just there today and collected some dollars, so thank you for that. We also partner with Greenwood Elementary. Their third graders come over every week and help us pack the bags. And we also have a group from the high school, CC Gillis' special needs group. They come over and help us pack bags that come to our neighbor's place. So all in all, just a really good partnership. There's some numbers from our backpack program from the previous school year. This year, we've seen an increased need. All of you, when you go to the grocery store, I'm sure you've noticed how expensive it is. Typically, we'll have 70, 80, 90 students a week getting bags. This year, we have 120. So it's a program that's in need. And then our last program is our transitional housing building. So our program is available to families who are experiencing homelessness. It's a small program. We have 4 units, but it is a program it's life-changing for families. Basically, what happens is families meet with Sarah, our case manager. If they're a good fit, then they are accepted into our program, and they can live in our building for up to 2 years, if that's what it takes for them to find permanent housing. That is their first goal when they move in, is finding permanent housing, because no one is living in our building forever. We want to help as many families as we can. But then families are free to work on whatever other goals they have. Not us telling them what they should work on, but them deciding for themselves what they want to work on. A lot of times families have used that time to get better at budgeting, which probably we all could get better at. Sometimes families go back to school. And sometimes it just takes a minute for families to get reacclimated about what it's like to have stable housing and have your kids and manage all of that. So it's nice because along with the stable housing, they also get Sarah as their case manager working side by side with them. With that program, since we've run that program since 2016. And in that time, we've had 17 families who have graduated and moved on to permanent stable housing. Most often that housing is subsidized housing. So either the River Falls Housing Authority or other subsidized buildings, or maybe they've been fortunate to get the Section 8 voucher. So we're getting ready to welcome our 24th family. If you're looking at the numbers there are 3 families in the early stages that did not complete the program, and we have 3 families who are currently living there. So that's the numbers on that. This is kind of a quick rundown of who makes up our Neighbor's Place. We have 3 staff and a whole host of volunteers that we rely heavily on. Lots of ways you can help. I won't read through all these things, but if anybody's interested, please reach out. I'm certain that we can find a way for you to help. Lots of different opportunities. We do have a couple of upcoming events that I wanted to highlight real quick. We're back to doing our casino night in-person fundraiser. It's going to be in February. But also of note, I wanted to highlight, we're doing a poverty simulation event in partnership with the university, United Way, and also the Hunger Prevention Council. And that's going to be in January, and it's just an opportunity for people to kind of walk in someone else's shoes and learn about some of the obstacles, some of the barriers, and also how to help. So thank you. We as an organization really appreciate the support of the city. We appreciate the partnership with the police. I mean, we work very closely with folks even at the library who have reached out to us, City Hall staff. There's just not enough good things that I can say about living here, but also having a nonprofit here. And we couldn't do the work we do without you guys. So thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Thanks, Shelley. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank
Yep.
you. Okay, so we'll move on here and we'll close the council hearing and open up a public hearing on ordinance 2022-18. This is an ordinance amending section 8.28.020.0 and creating section 8.28.939.c related to noise control and exceptions thereto. This is the second reading and disposition. I will take a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anybody in the audience that has anything like to say about this? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and reopen the council hearing. And I'll take a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2022-18.
Second. Okay, first, second questions, comments?
Question for Mr. Simpson. I know how important mental health can be working in healthcare, and I see potential room for a slight improvement. Could you tell me, though, how the city came to the time of 6 a.m. in the morning, that part of it, when it made its recommendation?
Yeah, I believe we used existing language from other nuisance ordinance related to noise, so it's 10 p.m. So the prohibition would be from 10 p.m. through 6 a.m. with the thought that that's traditional sleeping hours. As we know, people are on lots of different work schedules, so noise can be just as concerning in the middle of the day, but generally speaking, our ordinances don't reflect that. So this one would be consistent with other ordinances.
Are there other ordinances, and I know when I looked around, I saw a couple that were more than 6. Would 7 a.m. also be something that the city should consider doing potentially?
Yeah, I think staff doesn't have a recommendation related to a specific time. It's a policy issue for the council. I don't have some kind of scientific background to tell. We don't have something that I can point to that says 6 a.m. is better than 7 or 7 is better than 6. So it'd be something that council, in their broad authority to set health and welfare, has to determine what they think makes the most sense for the community.
Okay.
So I'd say an amendment would be in order if the council was interested in it, because there isn't a strong recommendation from staff about any particular time. And that goes for the 10 o'clock time too.
And to be clear, I am interested in a slight amendment to 7. 6 would work, but I think 7 would actually be a big improvement for mental health in the city and a win for everybody. I'll explain a little bit why I think that. The reason I think that is if you look at when it comes to work and work being done, most of that occurs after 8 o'clock. That 7 o'clock is kind of your transition time in the morning, or 8 o'clock you kind of expect people to be at work who are in that rotation. So that's why I feel that way, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to amend the ordinance near the bottom of page 8 and page 10, where it reads, particularly when such operation occurs between the hours of 10 p.m. through 6 a.m., and my motion to amend it would read 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. for both, instead of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Second? Did you make, right?
Yep, that was my
Okay.
motion.
Second?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
I just want to clarify with the city attorney that we wouldn't be required to repost or re-public hearing based on a 1 hour change.
Correct, that's just a 1 hour change, that's a minor editorial change that the council can make in its discretion at this time.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
I'm not necessarily opposed to the amendment, but what I am opposed to is inconsistency for enforcing it. Scott, can you tell us what other ordinances have we got that have that 10 to 7 or 10 to 6 timeframe on it? I know that's kind of putting you on the spot, but can you
Yeah, I
think of what
can't.
those
I
are?
know we have a construction noise ordinance. I'm not sure if the dog barking has a time in it. I would suggest that there's no guarantee without additional research by staff that 6 a.m. would be consistent with current ordinances. I think it would be consistent with at least one that it was modeled after,
Okay.
if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic about it, but
No, I understand.
and we could inventory. You could also pass an ordinance that you think makes sense, and we can do a follow-up and give you a list of any inconsistencies that may have created. Or you can wait and we can do the research ahead of time if it's important to the council. So that's up to the council, but I probably could peruse in 10 minutes on the web and find most of it, but I don't think it would be.
No,
I couldn't say I was thorough.
Yeah, I understand. I think my concern is that if the ones who are going to enforce this are going to be the police. Police are going to get a call. They're going to roll out there, and they're going to have to determine what kind of noise it is, what time frame it is. And I'd rather see, I don't have a problem with a 7 a.m. Time frame, but I'd like to have it consistent across all of them so that we're not putting the officers in a spot where they're saying, well, is the blower, for instance, construction noise or a residential noise? Well, if it's a residential noise, we can start it. I think the consistency across the board is what I'm really more interested in to help those who have to enforce it. I'd almost prefer to pass it the way it is, have staff at their leisure be able to come back to us with the 5 other ordinances that are similar to this and ask us to enforce a time frame that's consistent across all of them. But that's where I'm at.
I'm not going to be supporting your amendment, Sean. I really think the 6 o'clock is a consistency like Alderman Morissette said, and as well, I think of those mornings where there's all the snow out there that you have to get done so you can get to work or your spouse can get to work is often happening before 7 o'clock. And I don't want to see people late for work because they couldn't blow out their driveway before 7 o'clock. So I'm going to be saying no to your amendment.
Anybody else have anything?
I just wanted to point out, Mr. Simpson, does our ordinance have any exclusion as far as like exemption in the sense of snow blowers and stuff like that? I know I talked about that in the first hearing we did. Or is that?
The ordinance as written now allows for the police chief to make an exception based on circumstances. I'd suspect that he can issue a general order to his officers that they're not to cite people for snow blowing their driveways.
I would assume as much common sense would be there, so to me it doesn't make it.
There's a midnight to 6 for interruption of service for cable. I'm just trying to find 6 a.m. references in the ordinances, and it's not.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yes, you did. But that's all right.
Why don't we vote on this, Scott, if you want to ask staff to do that for us, later on bring back something that says, okay, this ordinance is 10 to 7, this one's 10 to 6, this one's midnight to 6. If we can kind of get those all figured out and do something with that later.
We can change this in a month.
Yeah, we can change this whenever we have to. So,
well,
okay.
I just wanted to say
you do have a motion and a second on the amendment, though. Okay.
Well, I think this has been a productive thing because I think we've figured out something we need to do as a group. I'm still in favor of my motion, but either way, I agree with going back to it with the rest of them. I think that's good.
Can I ask just one kind of fact-driven question if it's here? Do we have a large amount of complaints because people are doing things at 5:30 in the morning? Is there a tipping point? If we had a graph, would we know the highest data point for complaints with noise?
I know that I've received communication from constituents around trucks idling overnight in front of businesses. So, they're to do a delivery in the morning, but they're there early and they idle. But it's been from downtown residents, not residents further back from Main or 2nd Street. So I know that's been an issue in the past.
But I've also received calls about them in residential areas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Or I think I have one too where someone was a truck driver and would idle his truck. Yeah.
I would also say that, when you look at this, we do have a lot of construction that occurs, and that's a lot of where that type of conversation, exists. And then I think we have the what's emergency construction and necessary and what's normal. That's why I thought that 7 o'clock made a lot of sense.
Well, and I know where I live, the university pickup for trash is fairly early. I know what time it is. Let's put it that way, because you hear them flying down. But that's that's their prerogative. That works. I just was looking for an answer on the specifics of if we have some form of category for complaints, just to understand ultimately what long term is 6 or 7 the best approach if we end up making some sort of shift.
Yeah,
Anybody else have anything?
I don't think I can provide you any better information,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
And, you know,
So we're stuck with anecdotal, is what you're saying, basically?
I would call that best judgment of the council.
I've also received quite a few of those complaints you guys are talking about regarding trucks, so I know what you're talking about. Thank you.
And construction is 10 to 6. And I think our garbage contract also reads for residential collection, they're not allowed to do collection before 6 a.m. So there's a few, I saw there's some, our overnight parking is 1 to 6. So we've got some of that in the ordinances, but I would guess that if we do additional research, we would find Mr. Downing's 7 a.m. and some ordinances also.
Okay, anybody else have anything on this one? Otherwise, we have an amendment. We have first and second amendments. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and then on the original motion, we have first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we'll close the council hearing and open up a public hearing on ordinance 2022-19, amending the official parking control map, which would create no parking zones on Meadows Drive and West Cascade Avenue. This is a second reading and disposition. And does anybody in the audience have anything like to say about this? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and we open up the council hearing, and I will take a motion on this.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 2022-19.
Second.
First and second, anybody else have anything they want to say? Comments, questions?
I talked to Miss Kelly tonight, who lives on the very far west end of West Cascade by the bridge, and she's all in favor of this, so she thinks it's a great idea. So I always think it's important to make sure you talk to the people that it could affect the most. So she's all in favor of this.
Say, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to talk real quick. I had brought this back to the city after our last mayor's cookout, and I just wanted to say thank you to Jason Stroud for helping discover the entirety of the area that needed the attention in this. So thanks, Jason, and the rest of the city staff who worked on this.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we will close the council hearing and open up a public hearing on ordinance 2022-20, amending the official traffic control map, which would be a stop sign at the intersection of State Street and Hamilton Drive, and this is the first reading. Is there anybody in the audience that has anything like to say about this? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and open up the council hearing for questions or comments on this one. Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. First thing is acknowledgement of the minutes. We got the Historic Preservation Commission from 10/19. We have the Plan Commission from 10/4. We have the Plan Commission Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee Workshop from 9/14. We have the Park and Rec Advisory Board from 10/18. We have the Library Board from 10/17. Next is a resolution approving weights and measures schedule. Next one is a resolution accepting public improvements for Dawes Place Phase 1. Next one is a resolution approving the plan unit development, general development plan for 86-unit, two-family development from Derrick Homes. Next one is a resolution approving the plan unit development specific implementation plan for 106-unit multifamily development being built by Amcom and Frisbee Architects. And the last one is a resolution approving the development agreement between the City of River Falls and FAO River Falls LLC. Does anybody want to pull anything?
I'd like to pull 9.
Okay, I'll take a motion on the rest.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of consent agenda items 6A through E, 7, 8, 10, and 11.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I have a conflict of interest on items 10 and 11, so I would like to just abstain from those two
Okay.
in the consent agenda. If the clerk could please mark me as abstain for those two.
Questions and comments on any of the other stuff? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Mr. Bjork's got number 9.
Yeah, I guess I just have a question. It appears that any development that we're going to be doing now in the city is all going to be PUDs. I don't see anything else happening beyond that. And my question is it going to become common practice for, and I know it's about density, trying to get as many houses as possible or buildings as possible in a per acre, but we're going from a 10-foot setback to a 5-foot setback. I need some clarification. Is that foundation to foundation, or is that overhang to overhang? I see some of these places where there's no way a utility truck or a fire truck could get down between with knowing that there's air conditioning units that are attached to the building, but are they part of that 5-foot setback too, or is it foundation to foundation? I know at one time it used to be the overhang.
The overhang.
But now, I don't see that happening. I think it looks like it's foundation to foundation, and or we had some trouble here, so.
Yeah, I believe it, the roof lines would be part of the setback, so that the structure, the easement is open between, or the setback is open. Is that consistent, Ms. Shively?
It is from foundation to foundation.
Oh, it is foundation to foundation.
That's some flexibility that's being requested.
Oh, within this request, or within all, it's not in our ordinance in general?
For this project, could be other projects.
It used to be in the ordinance from eve to eve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Come on up, Emily, if you want to come up.
We're checking the,
Oh, okay,
yep, 'cause
okay.
we had one project that did request the foundation setback, and this project may not have requested that.
Matt's got the answer.
Good evening, Matt Heeb with ACA. I am 80% sure, I should have looked it up, but I'm almost sure we're doing a couple developments, and this one I think we did overhang to overhang for the setbacks. And your question regarding PUDs, it's the way that kind of your ordinance has been structured for twin homes. So it's really been structured that way on purpose. So that's how your ordinances read. So that's why you're seeing more PUDs for this project anyway.
And so that's the eve to eve you're thinking, but we don't know for sure if that's the case.
I'm 90% sure I can find out. If it's important to find out before you vote, I can find out real quick. I just have to double check that I'm saying, but I'm almost positive it was.
All right, well then I'm going to take you for a word on that. And then let me ask you, this is just another one out there, but when you have air conditioning units that are on the ground, those are part of the structure, but they're not counted as part of the structure? Is that?
They're typically not counted as part of the structure.
Even though they're connected to the structure and part of the structure, but.
Right, I think it depends on everybody, how they have your ordinance is written in, but typically in all the developments we do, that's not part of the setback is the accessory, like the air conditioner units or items like that. It's more the actual building structure itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I can think of the 30 communities that we work in that any of them would be doing like the air conditioning units.
Fair enough. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Well, I guess, I mean, that just goes to really to the planning commission, to the future is, I think those questions need to be asked more often, and it's maybe something that we're looking to try to put as many properties as we can into that acres, but we used to have rules that try to create some space and some green space too, but it is what it is now, I guess, in this case.
So I guess I just asked for clarification. Is there a concern about our accessibility for the utilities and fire? Because that's
part of it.
That'd be part of our review, and staff doesn't have those concerns related to the plan that's in front of us. We've got corridors for access. We've got street frontage. So from a public safety perspective, there isn't a concern about that. If it's a green space or a density issue, obviously that's a policy question for the council. But
I think it's both things that I was asking about on that, Scott.
Yeah, so I can answer your question about safety, the fire department and others are involved in the review. So, and utilities, obviously, we want to be able to access boxes and other things that we need to do service. So that's not a concern as it's laid out. That isn't a concern of staff. In regards to separation as far as green space, that's like you indicated, that'd be a policy question for the Plan Commission and Council to talk about, and understanding here too that we're weighing what the green space requirements are with the topography and other things, and we are trying to ensure that we have some balance of that. And there again, the council has the ability, ultimate ability, to look at a plan like this and say that they don't find it in balance. So, and that again, staff takes no offense to the council or Plan Commission saying you didn't, this doesn't look like enough, or how come, in some cases, council members want more density. How come there's this open space left in this spot? And some of that is access. So there, you'll notice there's some corridors between some of those lots. Rear lot is a little bit wider, and there's some spaces between units. So there is some consideration for that. I just want to point that out.
Well, I'll look to move this forward then and accept it as it is, and then just knowing that we need to be more maybe cognitive of this in the future of the space in between and questioning that. So, but I will accept 9 as it is.
Second.
I make a motion to accept the resolution approving the PUD of General Development Plan for the 86 unit to family development. Derek Holmes.
Second.
I just have one comment, if I might, Mr. Mayor. I will note, and this came before the Plan Commission, that as part of this development, there will be an unpaved nature trail to the north of it, which will at some point connect with the future development that's along Radio Road. So that was one of the, that and a paved trail that connects down to the industrial parks, to both industrial parks actually, was part of the considerations for green space in this project.
Okay, anybody else have anything on 9? Okay, first and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we'll go to an ordinance, resolution approving uncollectible accounts. This resolution would authorize disposition of uncollectible accounts as of October 31st. I'll take a motion on this.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the resolution for uncollectible accounts.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have the comptroller's report.
The comptroller's report for October 2022. General fund revenues through the end of October were $9,218,911, or 78% of total budgeted revenues for the year. Revenues in October included $42,176 in building permits and $15,440 for the sale of various city assets. Year-to-date expenditures through the end of October were $9,469,895, or 80% of total budgeted expenditures for the year. So as of October 31st, 2022, net expenditures over revenues were $250,984.
Thanks, Dan.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, guys. Yes.
Yeah, there's, yeah. Yeah, but it's the exit. That
Yep.
one's fine.
Everybody be safe. Overeat.
Yeah. And if